Hey guys, and welcome to the podcast. Unlike typical podcasts, you're dealing with just one twin today. That is Heather. I incorrectly put it in my brain that I'd be out of town on Tuesday, which was actually correct. But I'd also be out of town on Monday, which I forgot. So I told Corey, hey, don't sweat about doing the podcast on Friday. I'll actually be here on Monday. We'll record it then and I'll upload it Tuesday until I check my calendar, and I'll actually be out of town Monday and Tuesday. So she said, lucky you get to do the podcast by yourself on Sunday. So you are hearing this on Tuesday. However, I am from the past. What I wanted to talk about today with my solo podcast here is I wanted to actually break down what the cookie class kits are and why they're expiring on December 31st. Kind of clarify what that is, why it's a good deal right now. It's not as good a deal on January 1st, and kind of tell you what they are, how they work, what to expect with them. And if you want to make a purchase, I'm going to tell you how to do that at the end of this podcast. It will be shorter than usual. I can only talk so much. I can talk a lot, that we know, but I can only talk so much. So it's just going to be a little hybrid podcast, and then we'll be back to your regular scheduled programming next Tuesday, unless Corey decides to go out of town, which she never does. She is the definition of a homebody. So what are the cookie class kits? We launched them January 2023. So it's now been a year, almost at January 2024. The cookie class kits is the curriculum and supplies list you would need to teach a cookie class the exact same way we teach it. Now, we've been teaching cookie classes for years and years, and we've made a ton of mistakes. And through those mistakes, we've designed this curriculum to kind of make sure that you don't make the same mistakes we did, down to the designs, the sets, the colors, the cheapest we can make a class while charging the most type deal. That is what the cookie class kits curriculum includes. Now, specifically, I'm going to walk you through what each class comes with. So I've just brought up the December cookie class kit. Again, every class is like that. And we started teaching it in January. I just dropped January 2024's class. So there's 13 available classes right now. The way that the membership works, so it's a recurring membership, is you sign up today, you pay $63. As of today, there's all of those 13 classes, because the way the class kits drop is they drop a month before you actually would teach them. That gives you about 6 weeks runtime for marketing, which is how we promote our own classes. So, for example, this Christmas class actually dropped November 1st. And the January class dropped December 1st. That's why there's 13 classes, because they're all dropping a month ahead of when you think you need them. But they are called December class and January class because December Christmas. However, it did come out on November 1st. That is the most confusing part. We can't just name them their themes either, because the themes are constantly changing. So I do name it the month. However, I try to explain people that month drops early. So let's, for example, February 14th, Valentine's Day, we had a Valentine's Day class in 2023, but that Valentine's Day class actually dropped January 1st, if that makes any sense. So I'm bringing up the December cookie class kit that dropped November 1st. That is how that membership works. And here is what you get included with that kit. So each cookie class kit starts with the shop list and the checklist. Now, these look very similar from class to class. I try to keep everything very cohesive so that it's not a new discovery every time you open one of these kits. Each kit starts and is structured the exact same way. It's the content that changes. So in your first module of each cookie class kit, you get the shop list. That shop list includes the cookie cutters. This is a question I get a lot. Are the cutters included in the cookie class kits? No, they're not. Why? I don't know how to draw, and I also hate 3D printing, and I don't like fulfillment. So we partnered with Sweet Pink Olive. She's a cookie cutter shop. She is actually took a chance on us when we first started, so this is a fun way to scratch her back. But she and her sister-in-law actually work with Corey to design these custom-made sets. So I'll say that you do not have these cookie cutters yet because they were all new for each class that we drop, but they all match in design. So if you taught one cookie class kit each month for an entire year, those sets all match pretty well. They went for the chunky cookie cutter shape, so it is pretty easy to do. Now, a lot of people say, okay, physical cutters, great, that's awesome. I'm in Canada or I'm in another country. It's too expensive for me to ship. She has a couple of options to make it a little cheaper for you. Specifically, you can buy the STLs and print them yourself. I love that. However, she's pretty quick at shipping, so definitely consider that. And then she has also worked with us to create a subscription. So if you say, okay, well, I'll be teaching a lot of these cookie class kits, I will be buying all the cutter sets. I would like to get a subscription for this. It'll save you a couple bucks. So yeah, the cookie cutters aren't included. However, they are Sweet Pink Olive's IP and they are very, very cute. Everyone asks us, what size do you guys teach your cookie classes in? We always use the 3.5-inch option. Now that's 3.5 from left to right. So it makes some cookies smaller, some cutters smaller, and some cookies larger. I know some of you guys like to offer really large cookies in class. I'd actually encourage you to stick with the mix that the 3.5 option gives you. You can buy them in a bulk that way, but also it is nice for the class attendees to have smaller cookies along with the larger cookies. Yes, I know people see larger cookies and they think, oh, more bang for my buck. I taught this Christmas class yesterday, actually. And I find that the smaller, so the gingerbread, he looks considerably smaller than the rest of the set. And everyone really liked him because he wasn't drying as fast because he was so small. We didn't have as much surface area to cover. So you may think big cookies make big value. I agree, but having these smaller cookies in the class allows us to shorten up class time. Time is money, and it also adds a nice little mix there. So if you're one of those people who says, "I'll gotta be big," I'd say maybe take a chance on just matching that 3.5-inch size. Now, every class kit Corey builds out is into that 3.5-inch specification, but if you said, I'm a 3-inch girly, or I'm a 3.5-inch or a 4-inch guy, you can still teach these classes as well. I'm just telling you what we have found works best for us. Now, after you get to the shop list, you get the list of cutters. I link directly to Sweet Pink Olive shop with that specific cutter set in each of her for each of those classes. People are asking when these classes archive at the end of the year, is she no longer selling those? No, she'll continue selling them. She's actually doing a bundle deal as well to save you even more money there. So don't worry about that. You can sign up, and I'll talk about that in a second. But no, you have access to buying these cutters from Sweet Pink Olive whenever. We also do the colors in every class that we teach. It's always structured the same. There's 6 cookies and 4 icing colors. Okay. That's the standard. That's the minimum we could produce and still have an interesting class. So we want to keep the colors low. We want to keep the icing consistencies to one single consistency for each color. That way we are not making double the amount of icing. That is a huge profit killer. So you're going to see, and people always ask, do you guys have 2 consistencies for each color in your class? Absolutely not. We only do a single consistency and we do 4 colors. I'll say for almost every single class of the 2023 class downloads, it's a 15-second loose consistency flood. If there's any deviation from that, I make a note of it in these documents. The colors that we use are Amerigel colors. I give you the direct link to the 4 colors to create the icing class. In the rare event that Corey has mixed 2 colors, I let you know that as well. Do you have to use Amerigel food coloring? No, you don't. But if you didn't want to have to think about color theory, the links are there for you to make that purchase. Now, in the next document, we have the class supplies list. So the cutters and the colors being unique to each class, the class supplies list is always the same. It is the exact list of supplies that we use to teach the classes that we do. And that includes the parchment paper that we use, which I use to make class cleanup a breeze, pans that we use to kind of create the stations, and things like the supplies list, the scribes. We use really, really cheap Amazon scribes. I do ask the class attendees not to take them. I like to reuse them, but it's just a link. So if you said, hey girls, I want to recreate exactly what you're doing here, that is how you're going to be able to exactly replicate it. So that's the supplies list. Ideally, you'd teach your first class, you would order everything you need, and then you wouldn't have to reorder very often. So I think I have to place an order for parchment. We were running low on my 12-inch sheets. I'll open that class supplies doc, order it from Amazon, and then I'm good. Odds of you opening that after your first class, hopefully pretty low. I do have some options for you. Some of that stuff's kind of expensive. I make nothing. They're not affiliate links or anything, but some of that stuff is expensive and people have found cheaper options. So I try to incorporate that into the class supplies list when I create those documents. Last up in that first module is the class checklist doc. What are my supplies? What am I bringing? What am I doing here? How am I going to market this? How are we going to fill seats? It's systematic. It's kind of a marketing and a checklist of what to prepare before class, what to do day of class, how to follow up with class. And you can use that as a jump off point. It is not biblical scripture. You can deviate from it, but it is a nice starting point. So you don't have to do as much of the thinking yourself. I do find that teaching classes especially if you're just getting started, can easily be overwhelming because there's so many moving parts. We've got people coming to a venue. Odds are you don't own the venue, so you got to work with those people as well. You got to prep for class. You got to teach the class. You got to remind people about the class. You got to send people post-class information. It's a lot going on. So these checklists are kind of like, hey, you don't have to think about this, but just go through this and check it off. If you've listened to that podcast, Corey and I forgot our icing a couple classes ago, and I have learned my lesson. So like, hey, is this things in my car that I need? And your checklist will be a little different than mine, but it has open space so you can add more to your checklist. Moving on from there, in Module 2, it's the decorating how-to videos. So because these classes are brand new cookies made from the brains of Sweet Pink Olive, Corey, and the sister-in-law, whose name I've never heard, but I call her the sister-in-law, you have no experience decorating this cookie because it is brand new. So what Corey's done is she's recorded how to decorate these cookies. So there's 6 videos in each class, and it just walks you through how to do that. Now, we found that people have used these decorating videos not only to teach themselves as the instructor how the process flows for the cookie, but also to use it in promotional marketing, which is pretty interesting. Not what we expected when we came out with that module, but people have really liked it. Some even include them as hyperlinks in the PowerPoint presentation, which I'll talk about in a second, to have instructional videos demonstrate to their class how to decorate this, and then the class turns around and replicates it. The PowerPoint does that effectively as well. We actually do not use these videos in our class. I do use them in marketing though. Just another option that people have found to use the curriculum available to better market their cookie classes to their class audiences. Moving on to there in Module 3. Module 3 is completely dedicated to photography. Now, the great thing about the Cookie Class kits is Corey's already baked and decorated them. She has photographed them for you as well. It is more photos than you'll absolutely ever need, but there is photos of absolutely everything so that you can build out your promotional calendar to last 6 weeks of interesting class-focused content. So I've got the photos opened up on my computer. I'm just going to kind of narrate to you what they are. So she has the flat lay set. It's the finished photo of all the cookies in class. It's probably the one that I find that I use most for marketing these classes. Moving on there, she has the cookie and cutter photos. This changes depending, like January's class is a disassembled snowman, so she's kind of moved that style around a bit. But in most of the classes, you'll have the cookie and its cutter so that you could do a guess that cutter game, or you could kind of say, hey, this is what we're focused on. Just content that's available for you to use to promote these classes. She has photos of the cookie cutters. And you might say, why would anybody use that? They're very aesthetic. They're on a flat lay. The December class is on a red background, really eye-catching and adds a little bit more diversity to your marketing. I actually use these photos to create the class PowerPoint as well. So I always enjoy them. She has finished cookie photos to use for promotion. They're cropped at the perfect size to kind of use in an Instagram story or an Instagram feed post. Very cute, and it gives your audience like, hey, I can go to this class and I can decorate this cookie, and this is kind of what I'll be walking home with. She has, moving on, she has promotional photos, and these are kind of the stage photos that you'll see me post in the group when I'm promoting these classes to you guys. Very cute, very attention grabbing. The one she did for December, probably my favorite. You can go check them out right now at www.cookieclasskits.com. That'll probably be the flat lays. I should add these stage ones as well, but they're super, super cute. I'll get you guys more information on that. And then when we move from that, so that's the photos. There's tons, and we're talking about probably 30 photos per class. And you're going to think like, girls, that's ridiculous. That's way too many photos. Absolutely. I don't expect you to use them all. But like I said, the Cookie Class Kits is designed to take the hard work for you. So you don't have to do it. You don't have to create the flat lay. You don't have to go get the cutters and stage them. Corey's done that. If you want to use it, great. If you don't want to use it, great. But the content is there for you to use. And if we couldn't have made it any easier, hold on, I take Corey's photos and I turn them into social media posts for you guys, which adds a little bit more of the marketing and branding that you'll see with those Cookie Class Kits across these photos. I do crop them to be the perfect recommended size, which is 4:5 ratio for feed post and event cover posts and Instagram stories. So walking you guys through that, I make the event cover. I do create it with the specifications of Eventbrite. That's what we use to promote our classes, but it works just as well on, let's say, a Square website, or let's say that you use it on Facebook events. I use it on Facebook events as well. All you have to do is add your date, time, and location information, and you can just import this graphic into Canva and edit that there. Moving on, the social media feed posts, there's about 10 of these, I think. I take each individual cookie and make it a feed post, but I also use call to action feed posts like, hey, cookie class is up, order now. I like to introduce some funny puns like can't wait to see you in class soon. So those are those social media posts. And I find that I use them a lot. They incorporate the photos Corey took, but they put them into these graphics with that brandable, recognition that we kind of want to be like, okay, this is a class. I know this is a class pose. It matches the PowerPoint as well. So the graphics kind of all bring it together, the social media feed posts. And then I also include Instagram stories. You just can edit them in Canva if you want to add additional information, or you can edit them in the Instagram editor as well. And then you're going to find that some people turn those cookie how-to decorating videos into Reels content as well, which is great because again, we just want eyes on our prize and using all those options when it comes to social media marketing. Hey, you know that I'm a believer in diversity in and of marketing. Moving on, we have the class copy. This is, again, just templated stuff, but at least the thinking isn't there for you guys. It's already written out. All you have to do is edit it. And I highlight in yellow the parts that need your specific information. But it includes social media post copy that we find using the copy formulas that kind of get people's eyes on the prize. Again, nobody's seeing your post, right? So we need to post consistently and repetitively, and this kind of takes some of the thought out of that for you. It's a lot of heavy, corny puns because we want to have that fun holiday vibe. People kind of respond better with emojis, so it incorporates a lot of emojis. Please note, Corey thinks I'm an emoji overuser. I think she's an emoji underuser, but I do write the copy, so lots of emojis. We also have the Eventbrite listing copy. Nothing leaves money on the table than when I see somebody hosting a class and the description of the event is just a sentence or two saying like, hey guys, I'm teaching this class. Would love to see you. It'll be fun. No, we've got paragraph after paragraph. It's what I actually use on our own personal classes. I've edited it to make it a little more functional for you guys, but it includes every question someone might have. And you may be thinking, Heather, you girls told us that no one reads. They don't. But in the rare event that they do, all the information is there. But the secondary aspect of this is that search engine optimization, SEO. Robots can't see photos too well yet. AI is trying to change that. But in the meantime, it can read text, and having a copious amount of text describing everything about your event allows search engines like Eventbrite and Facebook and Google to read what that event is about and to drive more traffic to it. Because at the end of the day, I keep triggering my Google Home talking. Stop. At the end of the day, what the search engine's jobs are is to connect a person looking for information with the person providing information. And the way that we can communicate with these search engines is by providing that information, right? So just 2 sentences, 3 sentences of a class where we're asking somebody to shell out almost $100, that's not going to cut it. I want them to feel so comfortable giving me their money that they are excited to do it. If you find, here's a great indication if you don't have enough copy. If you find that people are constantly asking you questions after they sign up, that means that something is missing with your copy that's not fulfilling the query they need to feel comfortable. And I kind of did all that for you guys. We've been teaching these classes for so long. I've gotten so many questions, and I think I've built in enough of the event listing copy to kind of fulfill the questions everyone might have. Again, you just go in and you change the highlighted portions to your own bakery business information. Moving on, emojis. I come up with a list of emojis that I'd use to promote the class, just a reference sheet. I'm constantly searching for new emojis. I love when they push out new emojis, but sometimes we may not always know what's available, especially if you just do like, oh, these are my top 5 used. So it's just because I'm an emoji user. I just love it. So I curate that list for you guys for each class. Then we have the email drip campaign reminder. These are the email drips. It's when you say email drips, it's a series of emails sent to a specific person to induce a certain action. My action, I want them to show up to class on time. So even though we use Eventbrite and it does send reminders, I find that people that attend the class hearing from me directly before the class, in addition to Eventbrite, really drives home the point that here's my class policies. They're written in a very nice way. Just quick reminders, especially because we kind of launched this around COVID. So I have some sickness policies as well. but it allows the client to hear from me first. I send the first email, there's 3 total. I send the first email 5 to 7 days from class. I send the second email the day before class at 10 a.m. And I send the last email an hour after class. What I include in that email is included in these templated drip campaigns that you guys get in each class. It never changes. All I change when I send these out is the date and time. So yes, if you're wondering, do you have people that take your class over and over again? They're getting these same emails? Is that weird? No, they understand that they're reminder emails. And I find that most people appreciate that they're included there. I go as far as to attach a photo of the parking lot. I know some people have parking lot anxiety. I am one. So I want to make sure that everyone that's headed to class knows that they're going to get there and there's going to be a class and I'm going to make it fun for them. I also include a direct hyperlink to the Google Maps directions to class, just kind of thinking of everything so nobody has to ask. And you may be, Heather, well, that's so much. Don't worry about it, buddy. I already included it in the email drip template that you get with these classes. You don't have to think. All you have to do is change the highlighted information to your own, drop it in a Gmail, or if you use a newsletter sender, and send it to your class list. Moving on there, we have Module 6. It includes the class printables. These are up to you if you use them. The piping practice sheet. Now, you may ask, do you and Corey use these? No, actually, we use the same piping practice sheet that we used when we started this. Not even the cookie class kits. When we started teaching classes years and years ago, we bought like a template online. I changed some stuff for ourselves and then I laminated them. That's the only reason why I still use the older ones, that we laminated them. They last forever. I've used the same sheet probably hundreds of times, and I just get home and I run really hot water over them and I store them until next class. However, let's say you started class today. Let's say you say, I like what you're saying, Heather, with class kits. I want to teach a class kits class. I don't have a piping practice sheet. No sweat. I create a unique one for each class kit. It involves the techniques that they'll be using in class, and you can print those out. You can either put them in those, sleeves that people put in binders, like binder sleeves. You could laminate them if you wanted. I use FedEx Kingos. I know people have laminators at home. I am jealous. Or you can have them just pipe directly onto the piece of paper. Kind of the same effect. I don't know why we don't do that. However, it is already done for you. All you do is provide those at class and you can walk people into it. So if I see that Corey's built in a technique that maybe isn't so common, like I think the Christmas class or the January class has a snowflake. Now they can kind of practice how to build a snowflake on that piping practice sheet. Moving on from that, I don't know how I got into doing this. I create a coloring sheet based off the designs of Sweet Pink Olive and her sister and Corey, and I turned them into a little graphic. Now, why? I don't know. At the beginning, people thought they were so cute and asked for them. We find that people like to print them off so that the parent who came to class maybe can take it home so their 5-year-old could color along. It's just a cute extra thing. I don't know why I do it, but I do include those. Really cute little extra add-on if you want to make your class seem a little extra special. Awesome if someone only bought a DIY kit and you wanted to include some coloring material for their kids. Just a little something maybe to help mom not be so stressed that her 10-year-old gets the icing kit and her 5-year-old is jealous. So give them the coloring sheet if you want to there. And then sometimes I include transfers. Now, some classes require transfers, which I spell out to you guys, but sometimes I just know people who may not want, let's say you want to cut out some extra steps or you want to make it just a little easier on yourself. If I find that I can make a transfer in there, I'll include it, but I'll also make a note that this is not a required step for class. So for the December class, I created the eyeballs. I created the buttons. So the gingerbread man has buttons, the reindeer has a button nose. If you didn't want to use M&Ms like the class calls for, you can create your own transfers. That is up to you. If you're worried about the M&Ms bleeding, Corey froze them, thawed them, they didn't bleed. But if you were worried about that, transfers are optional and that PDF is included there as well. Also to note, the Cookie Class Kits membership does include our $2 Transfer Club membership at no additional cost, so you can get those transfers there as well. And moving on to Module 7, what I consider the best part of the class kits and why I think it is worth that $63 price tag is the class PowerPoint. This PowerPoint is very comprehensive. It is what we used to teach our class yesterday. It is based off the material that we know can fill an hour and a half class. It starts off with a brief intro, around the room introduction, so you can kind of get a feel for your class, a little icebreaker, and you can kind of know where people in your class are coming from and where they want to head when it comes to sugar cookies, because a guy who shows up with his wife and they're on a date night is going to have a much different agenda than someone who is speaking in royal icing terms. They have meringue powder. They just can't get consistency nailed down, right? So I enjoy really understanding who is at my class and why they are there. One of the questions is, what's your experience with sugar cookies? And I always make note to say to people, the more beginner you are, the better. But if you are here to learn techniques, I'll have Corey come around to you and kind of focus on that stuff. Yesterday's class was a lot of people who just are entering in the thought of wanting to be a little better at it. Typically in Christmas classes, we have people just trying to have fun for the weekend. However, we booked this one out super early. So I knew that was people kind of more interested in learning technique and stuff. So always a great question. The PowerPoint then takes you into how to understand cookie tools. We got some terminology in there. It's a really great way to introduce some information without being too overwhelming, because these are beginner classes. I've had people take these beginner classes 5 or 6 times. They really like the techniques because each class has a few different techniques in the prior class. That said, the PowerPoint kind of introduces you without making it too much like you're doing this as a career now, but while also not being taught for 5-year-olds. It's meant for adults that are beginning. And then the questions, and I tell people, ask me questions throughout. I'd be happy to answer. We talk about the tools like baking sheets. We talk about colors. We talk about scribes. We talk about piping bags and things like that. And then we kind of spend about 10 minutes talking about how to fix these cookies, scribe techniques, how to hold your scribe, how to move icing around, how to work from the outside in and stuff like that. And then we jump into that piping practice sheet, which eats up about 15 minutes of class time. But it's a great way to say like, hey guys, here's how we do this. Here's what to expect. Here's why that doesn't look good. Here's why you're getting the effect you're getting before we send them into the lion's den with their cookies. After we go through piping practice sheet, we do spend about an hour of class decorating, which everyone never believes that I say at the beginning of each decorating session, like, we have an hour left in class. When I tell you that we have 10 minutes left, you will be shocked by how fast class went, which of course everyone yesterday was like, oh my goodness, only 10 minutes. For the rest of the PowerPoint, it walks the class attendees step by step through this. People ask, do you guys decorate in front of them? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Corey had the intention to yesterday. Then someone bought a DIY kit, so she used her class set to sell that DIY kit. So she did not decorate. Could you? Yeah. Could you not? Yeah, it is kind of whatever you want. I don't see that there being a bad or good thing. If you're new to teaching cookie classes, the extra technology component required to live stream your decorating hands, you might add a little bit more stress, but it's pretty cool to have it as an option. However, they can decorate this entire set with just this PowerPoint, which is interesting. So when we sell our Eventbrite tickets, they have an option to buy an add-on DIY kit. The interesting thing about Eventbrite is you can buy just a DIY kit and you do not have to buy a class ticket. Limitations of their software, I've already asked. However, what happened yesterday, because so many people want Christmas classes, but we sold out so soon, is we also sold out of all our 10 add-on DIY kits, but only 5 of those went to class attendees. The other 5 went to people who missed out on tickets, but still wanted a fun event with a family. So what I was able to do is I said, hey, you get included in the price of your DIY kit a PowerPoint that walks you through everything. So they don't necessarily need us at all. It's a great way to add value. And yes, you are allowed to include this PowerPoint to people who purchase the DIY kits. It takes you step by step through each cookie. There's diagrams, there's outlines. It's pretty comprehensive. I think that if anybody watched this, I think a 10-year-old could take this PowerPoint and understand how the class is going. There's brief descriptions on what to do, what color to use, how to do it, what part to pipe, what part to wait on, and then it ends with the deal with dough and icing baby. Just 2 slides dedicated to talking about dough and icing. Now, not included in the kits, but what we do include for the people who take our in-person classes is I give them our icing and our sugar cookie recipe. It's not complicated, it's kind of a basic one. So it gives them something to start off with, but it also always adds that value. I'm always trying to make our classes seem extremely value-centric so that people are like, wow, that was so great. I feel like I got so much for our money. We live in a very high cost of living area here in Washington, D.C. So our classes are $75 a ticket, but Corey's saying to raise them in 2024. So I must make sure that my class attendees feel like, wow, that was so valuable, so that I have them coming back to classes. A great indicator that someone had a good time is that they come back to another class. Some people say, aren't you guys just teaching yourself out of custom orders? You're training your competition. We've taught these classes for so many years, and I think only one person sells, and she doesn't sell very consistently. She's so nice. She's gotten very good at it, but no, we're not training our competition. If anything, Corey's custom order clients will take a class and then they'll leave and say, that's why you charge what you do. Oh my goodness, that was difficult. Or maybe we're just bad teachers. I'm not sure, but they all seem like they have a really good time. Last up in module 8 for each of these cookie class kits is the attendee list and baking math. I live and die by my spreadsheets, so I give you the spreadsheet that I use. I use the exact same spreadsheet that you guys use, that I give you in these class kits. Their formulas are already built in. You just open the document. You can convert it to Google Sheets if you want. I do use Excel. I type in the information for my orders and it populates everything I'll need. How many cookies I need, how many PME eyeball sprinkles. So in that cookie class that we taught yesterday, everyone needed 4 sprinkles to complete the set. I threw in an extra eyeball, even though Corey acts like PME pearls are made of gold. But and then it also tells you how many icing bags you need. People ask, why don't you guys include the icing ounces? Why do you guys just kind of ballpark it? We always give more icing than they'll need for class, but also you guys could choose to order a 2-inch set, a 3-inch set, a 3.5-inch set. So your icing requirements are going to be different than ours. If you don't use a piping practice sheet, you're going to not need as much icing. We used red icing for our piping practice sheet. So I think we gave them 3 ounces of red yesterday. Maybe it was 2.5. But I do have the space for you to use that in your formula. However, we do not dictate what people need. I know in the Cookie College level membership, they kind of share their icing notes. I always find it risky because I'm like, are you guys all teaching piping practice sheets? But at least they know their minimums for that DIY kit. So, but you'll find that Corey and I always let people take their icing from class, and we always give them 2.5 to 3 ounces. I think we did 2 ounces for white for this Christmas class because it was used so little. But yes, everyone had a ton of icing left over. Again, that value added component. I said, hey guys, you get to take your icing with you. We give them a Ziploc bag to take that icing with them, and it makes their to-go boxes feel really heavy. So they feel like, again, they got more value added. So that's what's included in each of these cookie class kits. Now I want to talk about how these class kits drop and why they're archiving at the end of 2023. So these classes drop at least 6 weeks out from the time that you want to teach the class, right? So for example, on December 1, our January Build a Snowman class dropped. That's our first 2024 class, even though it dropped in 2023. Confusing, I know, I agree. But we sell memberships. We don't sell individual downloads very often. I find that it's a little cumbersome, and I like the value added so that, let's say if you purchased a membership in the middle of December, not only do you get December's class, you're also going to get January's class. So you guys kind of win more for that. At the end of the day, these class kits take a ton of work to manufacture and produce and push out. The more people that use them, it makes it feel like it's less of a waste of time, right? That said, the 2023 classes are being archived, meaning that we're taking them out of the Cookie Class Kit level membership. We have more than one membership, though. We have the Cookie College, right? Those classes will still be accessible there because the Cookie College gets everything. It is the best deal if you really want to sharpen up your whole business. But if you want a great deal on these class kits, just sign up and download before December 31st, because even though you have an active membership now, those classes will still disappear on December 31st. All you have to do is sign up today, cookieclasskits.com. Download everything as soon as possible. You'll also get that 2024 January class and then cancel. So essentially, you got every class kit for 2023 and one class kit for 2024 for $63. That's if you cancel, you'll never be rebilled again. So that is roughly $4.84 a class. The people who sign up in January, they're going to get the January class that's already dropped. And then on January 1, we'll have a February class. So they'll get 2, but they won't get all of the ones that were in 2023. And you're going to say, what happens with those classes? They go back to the Cookie College level membership, and then I'll create a single purchase download for these. Still working out the kinks on that one. It's much cheaper to do what I'm telling you to do right now. The $63 thing is going to be by far the cheapest. Obviously, the Cookie College is the best value. I'm popcorning everyone up to there. If you were in the Cookie College, I'd be happy. But if you're just trying to save a couple bucks, you say, Heather, girls, I just want the curriculum. I don't want all the marketing. I don't want the Facebook groups and stuff. Cookie Class Kits is going to be the move. So you need to just download everything. Sign up and download everything before December 31st, 2023. Because in January 1, it resets to the 2024 classes. January 1 will also drop that new class. I think it's football themed. The thought being this: we can't just keep teaching another Christmas class. We're doing like an alternate year of classes. So the typical ones, let me actually just read what we've got for these classes for 2023 to kind of give you an idea of what you would be getting right now. January 2024, the one that just dropped, is Sugar Snowman. It's a build your own snowman class. Very cute. Again, 6 cookies, 4 icings. They'll always have that configuration. If I go to January 2023, it was Winter Warm, so warm clothes. You can see these at cookieclasskits.com, the flat lays of these. If I go to February, you're never going to guess what it is. It was Valentine's Day. Again, we kind of did our standard, what you kind of expect set to start off with in 2023. February and March, we did Spring Fun. April, we did Easter. May, we did Oh Honey. It was like a honey bear cute themed, because some of those months kind of are androgynous. They don't necessarily have a theme if there's no big major holiday there. May, let's see, in June we did Sand and Sugar. In July we did Under the Sea. So definitely leaning into the holidays. My Australians, this would be your time to teach those classes now that the Americans are in winter. June, July, and August we did a groovy theme that was very trending. And then in September, we did Fall Favorites. That is a class we've taught for years. It sold really well. September and October, we did, you never guess, Halloween. November, Thanksgiving, and December was Christmas. So in 2024, because we've already set up these classes for 2023, in 2024, we're going to do kind of the secondary holidays on these. So again, January is kind of is not necessarily a themed out month. So we did snow. We did build snowman instead of winter warm clothes. But in February, where typically you'd think another Valentine's Day class, to make it interesting for the people who are currently and have already been registered in the Cookie Class Kits, football, because it is the Super Bowl. And that will be a nice way to diversify not only your class options, but your DIY kit options as well. Because again, you could create these as a DIY kit, include that PowerPoint. Great supplemental option if you're like, well, I would want to teach the kits. I don't think I'm ready to teach classes yet. Can I still use this? Yeah, use them for the DIY kit. All you have to do is order the cutters or create the icing, put it in a box, include the link to the PowerPoint, and you're done. You cut out completely having to teach a class until you're ready. But again, if you sign up before December 31st, you get all those standard classes, the classes that we just went through that you think of when it comes to cookie classes. And if you stick around, let's say you don't cancel. Let's say you're like, oh yeah, this is not, maybe I want this Super Bowl class. You stick around, it's going to bill you every month on the 30 days from the day you signed up. So if you sign up on the 15th, it's going to bill you the next month on the 15th. But in the first week of each month, you're going to get the new class set until you cancel, in which case, awesome, you have a ton of classes that you can teach. And we're constantly trying to add more interesting classes because we got to keep you guys in the membership. Got to keep it interesting and fun, but also it gives you some elbow room to maybe, let's say if you wanted to do private classes, it's a boy's birthday. You could incorporate that Super Bowl set into kind of making it into a boy's birthday party, or the groovy set into making it into a girl's birthday party. Just ideas of how you can diversify the investment in these cookie class kits. So if you want to purchase that class kit right now, you can go to thecookiecollege.com, or you can go to cookieclasskits.com. The cookieclasskits.com is going to take you directly to this membership. The cookie-college.com is going to give you an option for all the memberships. If you're currently in a membership, let's say you're in the $2 transfer club and you want this Cookie Class Kits membership, you're not going to be able to buy it. You can actually just switch your plan over. In the top right corner, click on your initials, click on settings, scroll down to billing, and click change plan. It'll take any of the money you've already paid towards a membership, let's say digital downloads, Baker's Business Basics, $2 transfer club, and it'll apply it to that upgraded membership, and you only have to cover the distance. Then download every class, right? Like we said. And let's say you said, okay, I don't want to keep paying $63. I want to go back to my $2 transfer clubs. You can go back the same exact way and click change plan and go back to the plan that you had, right? So that is a great way to get that Cookie Class Kit content and then not be rebilled at the $63, right? So that is how that works. Just remember, these are memberships, so they are recurring. If you bought the Christmas cookie class bundle during the Vendy Blending. I know, we're not supposed to say it. That isn't reoccurring, but if you bought a membership, it bills every 30 days until you click cancel. I would love for you guys to understand that it rebills, because if you forget to click cancel and you're like, oh, Heather, I forgot and I didn't need it for the next month, I can't refund your Stripe processing fees, and that money goes to nobody. I'd rather it go back to you guys. So make sure that you cancel it when you're done downloading everything. And if you want to stick around, awesome. The Cookie Class Kits is a great membership. It is a ton of work, but the people who use it, if you see that in the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group, you can see some people make posts and they're like, I am doing 100% more in sales this year than I did last year. And I guarantee you what's going to be driving that is classes. Like I said, licensed sprint money in December. It's a little bit harder to fill seats in January, but there is so much margin and so much less work, because at the end of the day, you're not making a custom order. It's not about the details. It's about people having a good time. It's a completely different offering. I made it a note yesterday. You may think, well, I don't have enough experience to teach these classes. Yeah, it does require some level of understanding how to make icing and how to bake these cookies. If you got the basics down, if you're in a group on marketing sugar cookies, odds are you've got the basics down and now you're trying to generate income. That said, I don't bake and I don't decorate. I can, and I do know the terminology. I can tell you what's wrong. I can tell you how to fix it. But yesterday I made it a note in the class that we taught to never tell anybody my experience, to see if anybody would ask me to do anything. At no point did I touch an icing bag. Corey was there going around and helping people, but I am the primary class instructor. I walk people through the entire set, and I have the confidence of a baker with 100 years of experience, and I can't hardly do anything. That's why I say people are like, how many years in business do you need? I think you need a basic understanding. I think you need to kind of be able to do the class set. They're very, very, very basic. Outside of that, man, you don't need a ton of experience to be able to teach these classes, but the margins are so ridiculous because in an hour and a half, we have essentially 10 people. We taught 10 people yesterday at 6 cookies, 60 cookies decorated, and I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was sling icing over my head the day before, have the baked cookies ready to go on a platter, their little baking mats, and then I had to have an energetic personality. And that is really all that you needed. Now, let's say you're like, okay, girls, you got my interest here. That's my 2024 New Year, New Me, New Goals. I want to teach classes, but I think I need a bit of more of a handhold here because I don't understand completely. Like the curriculum is great, but like, how do I teach it? What do I do? Then I'm going to encourage you to join the Cookie College. That's the biggest membership that we have. It includes everything. It'll include those old classes. There'll be no expiration date on downloading those. It'll include the new 2024 class kits. It includes the Baker's Business Basics, digital downloads and transfers and stuff. But it also includes a lot of classes on how to teach. So once we taught a class, this is before we launched the Cookie Class Kits. We were still teaching classes. I recorded the whole thing. I told everyone attending, don't turn around if you don't want to be on camera. I'm going to record this and I'm going to show it to other people so they can learn how to take this class. I also include the script that we used to use to get us through class because at the beginning, it can be overwhelming. I agree. It is kind of like, oh my goodness, people are looking at me and now I have to talk to them and I have to have high energy. So you can if you signed up for the Cookie College, it's $76 right now. You can get all the Cookie Class Kit stuff. You can get a private group where they actually add a lot more value to those Cookie Class Kits. Again, because I didn't make it, you can't include it in the kits, but they're constantly exchanging stuff with each other to help better teach these classes. And just the wealth of information, how to set up the IT component if you want to do live decorating. It's all in that that Cookie College private Facebook group. And additionally, you can watch us teach a class. You can get the venue swipe files that we used to solicit venues. Ideally, at the end of the world, I'd love for you all to have a completely free venue. It's not always realistic, but it is a necessary requirement to teach cookie classes is having a venue. So we create a list of templated emails you can use to configure to ask like a winery or a brewery or a cafe or a kitchen remodeling center. And there's one other one, I forget what it was. You can use those, customize them to yourself and send it to the businesses to see if they'd be open to partnering with you. They're written in a way that says, how can I bring value to your business, venue holder? I will market your business. People will know more about your business if you let me host this class for free. And at the end of the day, if you do have to pay a venue fee, not the end of the world. That's actually how Corey and I got started. We did $60 an hour at a shared workspace, where you guys could like rent a room and stuff. So we rented the room there. It worked. They had a TV. That's awesome. And now we are in a kitchen remodeling studio where we have to bring our own TV, but it's free, so it's worth the bringing of a TV. So that is the cookie class kits. Now, today is, well, it's actually December 10th, but you'll hear this on what, December 12th? Let me check. December 12th. That gives you the rest of the month to consider purchasing the kits before they disappear on December 31st. If you miss it, no tears, just sign up for the Cookie College and you'll get them all there. But I'm trying to save you some money. You could do this all. You get the 13 classes that we just talked about. They make great DIY kits. They make great classes, obviously, but there's a lot of awesome content there. It's also great for your social media because it's all already thought out for you, even the copy, even the social caption. You just got to post it. So it's really a done with you class to the fullest extent. That's almost a done for you because you're basically, everything is kind of laid out. The schedule's laid out. All you have to do is add you, cookie cutters, and dough, and you got yourself a cookie class. And then it becomes a marketing strategy, getting the information out there that you're teaching these classes, how to market. You know, that's what sugar cookie marketing is dedicated to. The same way that we teach you guys how to market is how we market these classes ourselves. And I'll have to put a feather in my cap and say we've been pretty wildly successful at it. We always book out. The biggest complaint yesterday is that we don't teach more classes. And everyone said, please, please, please tell me when you drop the 2024 list. I want to sign up first. I don't want to lose my seat. So I'm only saying that I'm good at it because the audience that I sell to seems to think so as well. And that content that we work so hard in learning, we have channeled it into the Cookie Class Kits and that Cookie College, which is a more in-depth version of Cookie Class Kits. Okay, I said this was going to be shorter, but we're already at 45 minutes. So I'm going to just talk about our sponsors. I checked the text, no text. So you guys are safe from that. However, if you want to text in your questions to the podcast, we love them. It is 571-556-5644. Again, that's 571-556-5644. And we'll read those text messages out on the podcast and answer your questions or just read any commentary. I think it's always fun to see what people say. Now we have 3 sponsors. We have Bakety Bake meringue powder. It's Royal Batch meringue powder. Corey loves it. She loves it so much, she actually won't let us use it for cookie classes because she was like, it's my favorite. I'm saving it for my custom. She says it makes the drying time easier. It buys her a little bit more time. It mixes perfectly. She really likes it. Not the baking twin here, but the way she talks about that, I think she loves it more than her husband. You can check that out at baketybake.com. Code TWINS saves 10% off. You can buy it in a single pound bag or a 5-pound bag. If you're not sure, if you're looking for something new, maybe 2024, new year, new recipe, you can always buy that 1-pound bag. If you like it, then start purchasing the bulk 5-pound bag and save the additional bulk there with that code TWINS to save 10% off at checkout. Now, in the new year, we will be talking about goals soon. Don't worry about it. But I think photography is how we sell anything. If they don't know it's for sale, they're not going to buy it. And if they don't like the way it looks, they're also not going to buy it. So a great way to get a whole house remodel in about $70 is AE Core Backers, another great sponsor. They've been with us forever. Use code SUGARCOOKIE at checkout for 20% off. It is a home remodel in a square, meaning that the backdrops have different patterns on them and you can use them to photograph the flat lays that you see in the Cookie Class Kits. A lot. All of the promo photos in the Cookie Class Kits are taken on AE Core Backers. And it's a great example of how you can use these backdrops to kind of create a mood in your photography. You're going to see that as Corey gets into the summer months of those class kits, she's got a lot of bright backers. As she gets into the winter months, this Christmas class we were talking about has a deep red backer that she uses to take the cookie cutter photos. And it really does set a mood. Now, if you're just getting started, if this is your Christmas wish list, the polar whites, the matte whites, the marbles are great to kind of give you the base backers to kind of build off of. And then when you have a little bit more budget, elbow room, you can kind of get the colored ones, which I think add a lot of visual interest. We use these backers for more than just sugar cookie marketing. We use them for our day job clients when we can, and it really does bring in some warmth and visual appeal and kind of market and sell these products. The clients are always so happy with them. I don't think they know that we don't have a studio. We just have AE Core backers, and that's all that we need. And if no one is upset about it, awesome. Saves me from having to move to one of those new build houses at an 8% interest rate, right? Last but never least is Eddie, the edible food printer. You would have had to been a very, very good baker this year to be able to get an Eddie as a gift, but there's still time to get off of Santa's naughty list and get on Eddie's great list. It is a direct-to-food printer. I tried to tell people about it in class yesterday. It's so weird sounding that they can't even fathom what it is. I've told Corey, if he wasn't so heavy to just cart around in a car, I would love to take him to class and print stuff out in front of people because they think they just don't realize how crazy this machine is. It would essentially take out the workflow you need with stencils or airbrush because it is a printer of edible ink onto your cookie's surface. It is mind-boggling. However, they don't run sales, but they are an amazing company. They have a lot of support options. You get a private class with an Eddie support rep to help you understand how to get them set up on your computer and get to printing on cookies. I know there's a YouTube video series we did, just 3 videos. You can search Sugar Cookie Marketing Eddie on YouTube and kind of watch the workflow there. Now, I made it a little bit more complicated than it had to be because I like Photoshop, but they have software where you can build in the graphics. You can go to take them to print and you can print on a cookie. I think we did it all in under an hour, and that's from unboxing. He arrived in the mail to printing on our first cookie, and I think I did a selfie. So it was weird eating myself, but it was very, very interesting for sure. That said, you can learn more about Primera through their website, but I actually encourage you to check them out on Facebook. Primera Eddie Printer Users Group. That's a long group name, but there is so much inspiration there. You can also check them out on Instagram. If you use Eddie to print on something, they share it. So it's a great way to see how people are utilizing Eddie in their marketing. And it's how Corey got into her corporate girly era. If you listened to the podcast earlier a couple months ago, you're going to be able to taste of that corporate girly era check. And that is a huge way of people how people have covered the cost of Eddie's. $3,000, not cheap. You can get a refurbished one. I like that. And then there's a resellers market where people bought Eddie and then they've gotten out of cookies, and you can get a stellar deal there as well. I'm a refurbed girly through and through. A lot of the nicer DSLR cameras we buy are refurbished through the company, Canon Refurbished, and I think it's a great way to save money. They come with warranties. Check to make sure Eddie comes with a warranty if they do the hot swap, or maybe if you can add one. I'm not too well versed in their warranty options, but I know that company has customer service that is so dialed in, it makes me look like I'm standing still. Really like our sponsors. Thank you again to Acor. Thank you so much to Eddie, the edible food printer, and to the Bakety Bake meringue powder lady, Courtney Post. You guys are great, and you keep this podcast going. Okay, now at 51 minutes, I think I've covered everything. Again, I'm saying hello from the past. Sorry for the deviation of the typical podcast. I hope I answered any of your questions about the cookie class kits, but if you have any specific questions, email me directly. I can absolutely answer them. I'm heather@sugarcookiemarketing.com. Again, my email for any cookie class kits question. If you're signed up, if you signed up and you bought the wrong thing, if you didn't sign up but you wish you did, email me at heather@sugarcookiemarketing.com, and I can promise you we can work together and we'll find the answer. So help me. Okay, guys, I'm going to cut you loose. I'll see you next week in the group. And thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Without you guys, it would be kind of weird, right? Okay, I'll see you guys next week.